Club, for example, held their annual sponsored charity race over a 4-mile stretch of the Thames.
It was not, the organisers emphasised, another touch of Boxing Day lunacy, though quite a few of the 27 swimmers clearly thought otherwise as they warily edged their way into the chilly waters of the River Thames. The Mayor of Windsor got things going, setting the rubber-clad enthusiasts on their way for the 13th annual crawl to a conveniently placed pub 4 miles downstream. The after-effects of Christmas soon sorted out the men from the boys, and the women too. And by the time they reached the up and over leg around the old Windsor lock, many were so exhausted or confused that they weren't even sure which way they were going. In a record time of 45 minutes, the winner, a 39-year-old chartered engineer. But most seemed to feel that to finish at all was quite good enough.
And that's the news this Boxing Day night. I hope you've had a pleasant Christmas. I'm just going off to enjoy mine now. Let's have a look at the weather.
Well, England, Wales and Northern Ireland will be mostly dull with heavy rain in places, though clearer but still showery weather will spread eastwards across many southwestern districts during the day. Scotland will be windy with rain in many areas and snow on the mountains, and the more northern counties will probably become colder with sleet or snow showers moving southwards from the Northern Isles.
There's more holiday entertainment on Wednesday on BBC1. At 6 o'clock, The Wizard of Oz.
If you please, sir, we want to see the wizard right away, all 4 of us.
Then at 7:40, Val Doonican.
It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing.
At 8:45, The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perrin.
Is this important, CJ?
Not at all, Reggie.
Good, then take your time.
I just wondered if you'd heard the weather forecast.
The weather forecast, CJ? I haven't, but I'll certainly ring for it. Thank you. Hello, Perrin here on green. Would you give me the weather forecast? Thank you. Put it through on red, will you? Thank you.
At 9:15, Carry On Girls with Sid James, the brains behind the staging of a beauty contest with hilarious results.
Oh, I can assure you you'll never see anything like this again.
At 10:15, Christmas entertainment from a smooth, sophisticated Max Boyce. At 11:25, The Feather and Father Gang. Programmes for Wednesday evening on BBC1.
A feast of entertainment for true music lovers on BBC2 now in a gala evening at Harrogate's Royal Hall, presented by Dr. Evadne Hinge and Dame Hilda Brackett. Well, here on BBC1, the pace is somewhat hotter as Gene Hackman stars in our big film for Boxing Day, The French Connection.
Thursday, it was screened at 9:25. Having got us used to this time, it was then changed on Friday to 8:45, as a result of which I missed seeing it, as I suspect did other viewers. Not content with this, on Saturday the programme was switched to 11:20 and on Sunday to 9:45. Then, as if to be completely different, on Monday it was changed to 7:55. Surely for a programme lasting 10 to 15 minutes, so many changes in time are not necessary. Yours faithfully, A. Tanner.
Well, I don't know, but I suspect that the answer lies in the dim fastnesses of the East Tower, the BBC's high-rise Bunbury, a place that can be blamed when things go wrong. Which brings us to Junior, That's Life, which is becoming something of a battleground.
I would like to register the very strongest complaint about this nauseating programme. Allusions to passing wind for cheap laughs left me stunned.
Another viewer phoned to say,
How lavatorial. How damned lavatorial. This programme is doing nothing for Miss Ranson's new mother image.
Well, I suppose mothers can be as tasteless as anyone else. But for those of you who might be mystified by the references to breaking wind, Sylvia Clayton of the Daily Telegraph explained in her television column on Monday,
6 white-coated doctors from St Thomas's Hospital sat in a semicircle. Each had been dosed with a powder bought from a joke shop. It was supposed to make people break wind. Each showed the success or failure of the medicine by holding up a numbered card. And Esther Ranson coyly advised those sitting close to a participant whose card read 4 to change the geography of their position. There were 2 likely reactions to this scene, either a snigger or a sense of surprise that this should be accepted as BBC entertainment.
Well, judging from viewers' reactions, it wasn't accepted. One caller said,
I can only describe the programme as foul.
But a young viewer from Kent had a different criticism entirely.
You said on the programme that the powder one uses to aid wind didn't work. Well, I have news for you. My brother uses it all the time, and I can vouch for its effectiveness.
Well, from that it's difficult to know whether he's a satisfied or dissatisfied viewer of Junior That's Life. And while one viewer called to say,
"What a smashing programme. Those children were super,"
another found Miss Ranson's show
the ultimate in bad taste.
J. Lush from Heathfield wrote to tell us what he thought.
The Esther Ranson programme has gone downhill fast. It now specialises in toilet humour in particular, and she's one of the worst dressed presenters on television. Someone must have told her she had beautiful shoulders.
I wonder who that could be. Perhaps it was Private Eye's Grovel. But now on a sweeter note, Mrs. Owen from Sleaford has a request.
"I would like to see the girl on the test card as she is now. She's probably a grown-up dolly bird."
That was me. My name's Carol and I'm grown up now.
You certainly have. Was that little girl really you?
Yes.
Oh, you come on a treat. Now, shall we finish the game?
Okay.
After you. I've always wanted to do that. Thank you.
Good night.
If you have any comments about BBC programmes, please write to Points of View, BBC Television Centre, London W12 8QT.
At 10:50 tonight, Anna Magnani and Burt Lancaster star in The Rose Tattoo. But now, vintage comedy in The Burns and Allen Show, with, of course, George Burns and Gracie Allen.
Europe at war, and with the Germans facing an Allied advance, the security net tightens, making escape and evasion increasingly difficult. On Saturday nights, BBC1 begins a new series of Secret Army.
Germans have started a house-to-house search in the Brugerstraat.
Not again. I knew it was too good to last.
You'll have to clear the here, and there's no one else. You need 5 papers.
Right.
I'll take Lacuron.
You have no suspects yet?
We've only just started. Reposition your men for the second search area.
I think a couple may have got out over the roof, sir.
Then get after them, quickly!
Untersturmführer, widen the cordon to embrace the entire block.
At once!
Taking bigger starboard quarters.
We have to get out.
Why?
Because this train isn't going any further.
Well, what are we doing now?
We'll have to get some sleep at the station and hope that there's a train running in the morning.
I'm sure you won't make things difficult for yourself. The Geneva Convention is quite explicit. Unless you prove conclusively you're an airman trying to evade capture, I shall have you shot as a spy.
A new series of Secret Army on Saturdays for the new season on BBC1.
And the first episode can be seen at 7:35 a week tomorrow. Tonight's late film in a few moments is The Rose Tattoo. But before that, the news headlines from John Edmonds.
The government has decided not to sell its holding in North Sea Oil after all. It was planned to sell £400 million of the National Oil Corporation's assets to pay for the budget tax cuts. But the money will now be raised by the advanced sale of crude oil, and the corporation will continue to trade and have a stake in North Sea Oil. The Zimbabwe-Rhodesia conference has been adjourned until Monday, with delegates left to study 3 sets of constitutional proposals. The latest, presented by the Patriotic Front, are already causing a row because they've made no mention of reserving parliamentary seats for whites. The word white doesn't appear anywhere in the 12 pages of the Patriotic Front's proposed constitution. Despite the engineering strikes, Rolls-Royce now say they may not lay off 30,000 workers in their aero division, and the factories concerned will open as usual on Monday when next week's 2-day strikes start. The companies say if enough people turn up for work, production can go ahead. The annual rate of inflation now stands at 15.8%, the highest for 2 years. But the latest retail price index shows prices rose by under 1% last month. The government hope the inflation rate will peak at just above 17% this winter. In Belfast, a prison officer has been murdered and another seriously injured. 4 officers were caught in an ambush near the Crumlin Road prison. 2 escaped injury. The Provisional IRA said they were responsible. 4 prison officers have now been killed in Ulster this year. Finally, tennis. Britain and Italy are level at 1 match each after the first day of the Davis Cup European Zone final in Rome. Buster Mottram beat the Italian number 1, Adriano Panatta, but John Lloyd lost to Corrado Barazzutti. And that's all from the newsroom. Let's now have a look at the weather.
Well, much of Britain will have a dry but rather cold night, with a ground frost likely in many parts by dawn. Tomorrow, rain, which will reach the Western Isles of Scotland by morning, will spread to the rest of central and northern Scotland during the day, and there'll be a freshening southwesterly wind too. Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England will become mainly cloudy after a bright start, and a little drizzle is likely in places later. All remaining areas of England and Wales will have a dry day, with some sunny periods, and temperatures will be a little higher than today's. Well, on BBC1 now, the late film, The Rose Tattoo. Anna Magnani stars in the role that won her an Academy Award and was specially written for her by Tennessee Williams.